your first Alert 5 weather with Alex O'Brien.
Well, in case you missed it, yesterday was a record day in terms of daytime highs. Pueblo reached 101 and Colorado Springs reached 94. It was both our first 90 and 100-degree days for the Springs and Pueblo, and we were well above average. The average high this time of year is 75 in the Springs and 83 in Pueblo. So the ridge of high pressure that brought us all that heat is finally moving to the east today, but replacing it is a very active weather system that will bring high fire danger, strong winds, and a risk of severe weather. Right now it's 65 degrees, humidity at the surface only 47%, and it will drop through the afternoon. But notice the cloud cover. In the mid levels and upper levels of the atmosphere, we have higher humidity. That will play a role in our mountain thunderstorms today. In Pueblo, it's 66, 42% humidity at the surface. That will drop very low today. So in our setup in the atmosphere, here's our ridge of heat that's been with us all week long. It finally moves to the east today, and we have a bit of energy moving in from a low pressure system to our northwest. And notice the very strong winds that are coming with this batch of energy. That will fuel all our active weather today. So it will be quite active. We'll start with the dry air in the plains. This will be our main threat today, with high fire danger, a likelihood, and very strong southerly winds. But notice through the afternoon that humidity stays high in the mountains and the higher terrain, and most of this weather system is looking at moisture to the west. In the east, we do not have that nice easterly flow bringing us Gulf of Mexico moisture, so the mountains eat up all that humidity today. High wind warning in place until from 10 to 9. That's for southerly winds gusting up to 60 miles per hour. Those wind gusts could be enhanced by dry thunderstorms later on today. Dry thunderstorms might start a wildfire. We have high fire danger with those strong winds and pretty low humidity. Humidity drops even more so by tomorrow. So let's go to the wet side of this system. A risk of severe weather covers most of the western portion of the state and our northeast zones, but there is a risk of severe weather in our area as well. That mostly will be a hazard for the Pikes Peak region into the central mountains, and this is where we also are looking at a tornado threat. Very rare tornado threat for the western slope, and most of this activity will be cut off by the Continental Divide. But thunderstorms are still likely to make it to the I-25 corridor today. So let's go through that hour by hour. We're starting nice and mild with some clouds. This afternoon will be hot. Notice those strong, gusty southerly winds. The plains definitely has a risk of grass fires today, and any dry lightning strikes in the mountains could start a forest fire. But there is likely to be at least heavy rainfall after that in the mountains by later on this afternoon. It will be a pretty early day for thunderstorms on the western half of the state, moving into the southern mountains here by late lunchtime, early afternoon. Then around 3-4 o'clock, that's where we expect these storms to make it to the I-25 corridor. We could see some very strong winds and brief pockets of heavy rainfall. But as these storms push into the plains, they lose a lot of their moisture, and that's where we have that dry lightning threat moving into the later afternoon, early evening. So it will be quite an active day across the region. If you do have plans to be out and about, you're going to want to have a plan B by this afternoon as things really get going. All right, so temperatures today very hot in the plains, 80s, 90s up and down I-25, 70s into our mountain valleys. By tonight we are dropping to the 50s and 60s. By tomorrow we are even warmer in some spots, especially here along I-25. And we are dry, hot with red flag warnings tomorrow as well. So notice how our temperatures will stay above average through Monday. We finally get a cool down, a nice cold front Tuesday of next week, and that cools us back down to seasonable levels. For Pueblo, we have 3 more days in the 90s. Do watch for thunderstorm activity this evening. In the meantime, very gusty. Down to the upper 70s on Tuesday. That will be a nice little break from our heat. Canyon City, do watch for strong thunderstorms later on this evening, peaking in the low 90s by tomorrow. Then we're back to the 80s through most of next week, except for that cooler Tuesday. And we've got 70s on tap for this weekend in Woodland Park. Be extra cautious for severe weather later this evening. Renee?